Hey everybody, welcome to Goshen Prepping. Thanks for joining us. I find that people love to buy certain things just because everybody in the community also buys it and even recommends it. But honestly, in the reality, it doesn't work very well. So this video is catered to 5 things. Stick through these 5 things because you're going to find, well, maybe I shouldn't buy these things at all because honestly, they're not very helpful. Okay, so here we go. Number 1, a magnesium fire starter. So to understand this, I'm not saying they don't work. They do. They're just a real pain in the butt. And for the amount you pay for them and the work and aggravation you put into them, awful. Personally, I just like to buy lighters. In the checkout aisle at Walmart, $2.37 I think is what this cost. I mean, if you go over to like their outdoor area or camping area, they're going to be much more expensive over there. But in the checkout lane, you know, we have tons of these packs laying around, mind you. And I'm not saying you necessarily even have to get lighters because sometimes when they're wet, they're not the best either, but waterproof matches, etc. That's what I would recommend. You know, I'm not even saying don't have a magnesium fire starter as an absolute backup, but it's one of those things in the prepping community. People talk about, oh, I've got my magnesium fire starter, and they think it's going to be the best thing ever. But you notice it's always brand new looking. It's because they never actually used it. Instead, invest in lighters and waterproof matches, and you'll definitely be very happy in the long run. Number 2, a life straw. So again, I'm not saying they don't work. They do. I don't enjoy laying next to ponds and trying to suck water from a stream. It is awful. And I know you can scoop up water. It'll be a dirty container if you do that. Then you put the life straw and try to drink from that water. Obviously, it works. People love these life straws. I hate them. First off, if you've never tried one, they're not like drinking through a regular straw. You're trying to suck water through a filtration system, which is just aggravating. You know what I'm saying? We like to drink water with ease is what we do. So I would recommend, instead of buying a life straw, buy some type of inexpensive portable water filtration system like a Sawyer, or I actually have more expensive ones like a Katadyne. I'll put links below for these, by the way. You'll be much happier in the long run. Even if you buy like a gravity-fed one where you put the water in your bucket and you let it sit and it'll automatically drip and pour that way. I don't know. To each their own, I suppose. If you like the life straw, that's fine. For me, I like things a little bit easier when it comes to even with prepping than trying to suck through a straw that doesn't, let you suck very well through the straw. Number 3, a seed vault. Of course, I am certainly not saying don't buy seeds. I highly recommend everybody get seeds and put them to use. Practice, learn how to garden. Become self-sufficient is one of the things I talk about all the time. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is don't just go out and buy one of those big Preparedness survival seed vault packs. First off, you're going to have to ask and question what's the viability of these seeds. They may be garbage seeds. You don't know. But even beyond that, here's the thing. What are the odds that you love every single kind of veggie or whatever it is coming from that pack? I mean, not likely, right? There's probably going to be a few in there that are kind of a waste, things that sometimes you never even heard of. And you think in your mind, well, I'll just trade with someone. They're not going to want it either. People like tomatoes and peppers, something that's easy. A lot of times you'll find stuff in there, it's simply just going to go to waste getting it in that seed vault pack. But even that is not the reason why you shouldn't get one of those seed vault packs. Instead, what you need to do is find a local supplier of seeds. For example, up here in Michigan, we love MIGardener. I'll put a link below if you want to check them out if you live up in Michigan or at least up north. Because if you're from Florida, you may not want to be buying seeds that work very well here in Michigan. But you know what? In Michigan, I don't want to buy seeds from Florida that work well down there because you'll find that even certain varieties of plants will do better depending on the zone you live in. And for us up in Michigan, having a zone that's obviously cold a big portion of the year, I'm going to find varieties that work well. And that's what MIGardener does, for example, is he only gets seeds from companies up here, farms up here in Michigan, so you know which things that actually work very well. So that's why I would not recommend you getting a seed vault pack. I think you should try to find as many seeds as you possibly can of things you like, but also things that you know for a fact will grow very well locally where you live. Number 4, hydrogen peroxide. Now, I'm not saying don't buy it either. However, preppers buy this usually for one thing, and that's for cleaning out wounds. And I'll tell you right now, that's not what this is for. Trust me on this as a doctor. This is not for wound cleaning. It'll actually will damage your tissue, damage the immune tissue that's in the air, like white blood cells, for example. It is very caustic. It oxidizes. But that's actually another point too, by the way. Once you pop this open, you open it up, it starts a chemical reaction. And the chemical reaction is called a decomposition reaction, where the H2O2, hydrogen peroxide, will dissociate into water and oxygen. That's what those little bubbles you see are in there, by the way. They're little oxygen bubbles. Neat. But just like if you open up a 2 liter of soda, you know the flatness is there. It's never going to be quite the same 2 liter of soda again. That's why well, not you, hopefully you don't drink that stuff. But that's why people try to drink it as quick as possible because, it's going to go flat quick. Same thing with this too. It's just since you're not drinking this, hopefully you're not, you won't notice it's not actually as oxidative as it used to be when you first opened it. Okay, but again, that's not the whole purpose. Cleaning out wounds is not what you want anyway. Secondly, by the way, it's not for whitening your teeth as well. You'd think it whitens your teeth, that's what people say, but actually it does a better job whitening your gums than it does your teeth. So keep that in mind too. So what uses does it have? It actually has 2 uses. And having it around for those uses might work pretty well. The first is actually a medical use. If you actually mix this 50-50 with, 50% this, 50% with water, it's really good for earwax, by the way. Pour it in your ear. If you have some kind of earwax buildup, you let it sit for a little bit, then flush it out. All that wax will come clumping out. It does work well for that. Check with your doctor. Always the disclaimer, I have to tell you that. And then secondly, it's good for getting stains out of clothes, which of course we want to make sure we have nice stain-free clothes when the apocalypse hits. So the uses for hydrogen peroxide, do not get it for wound cleaning. Instead, I would stick with like povidone iodine or something like that. Povidone betadine, something like that actually should work really well for you, not this. And number 5, a crappy sleeping bag. And obviously I'm not saying don't get a sleeping bag. You should certainly have a sleeping bag, but don't get just some crappy one that you found on the shelf at Walmart. You need to get one that's actually for your area. For example, if I go for a trip down in Florida and I want to go camping there and I find a sleeping bag that's rated down to like, I don't know, how cold does it get in some parts of Florida? 20 degrees, I don't know. I used to live there. And I buy a sleeping bag, that's great. That sleeping bag in the winter up here in Michigan is not going to cut it because we have negative temperatures, degree temperatures up here on occasion. And you know what? Call me crazy. I don't like to freeze while I sleep at night. And I mean literally freeze and die. Even when I lived in Florida, I would try to buy sleeping bags that are rated that area. And I'd find sometimes when I'm sleeping out at night, I would still get cold. So get the sleeping bag. If you have to buy one bag, make sure you get the one that's rated for your area to the coldest temperature that you may actually hit that night. Now, if you're sleeping out in the summer and you have that really warm sleeping bag, because that's how you can afford is one, at least you can unzip it. You know what I'm saying? At least you can try to let cool air come in, but you can never go the other way around and have it so you're freezing and suddenly you're trying to maintain more heat with a crappy sleeping bag. Now, if you have a bunch of crappy sleeping bags or sleeping bags that are not rated for your area as far as temperature goes, it's really not a problem. They work great for layers and insulation. Put a few layers between you and the ground, possibly cover up with a few more layers of sleeping bags. So that does work well too. But again, if you only have one sleeping bag, make sure you get the one that's going to work well for you and your area. Just don't buy any sleeping bag. I find people make that mistake all the time. So let me ask you something. What do you add to this list? What are some things that preppers love to get that you find, honestly, it's kind of useless, doesn't work very well? There's a whole bunch of them, isn't there? Put them in the comments below. And you know what? Let's help each other out, making sure we stay on the right path and prep successfully instead of just with things that won't work well. Thanks for watching.